At Direct Service Overhead, we know how much trust you put in the individuals who have the privilege of working on the components of your home. We understand that a broken garage door is the last thing you want to be worried about, and most of the time, doors break at the most inconvenient times. Our professionally trained technicians service 24 hours a day, and our high-cycle parts are guaranteed to make a noticeable impact on your garage door without putting a damper on your wallet. If you're looking for need of assistance maintaining your current garage door, our team has the experience and expertise to deliver the results you deserve. Give Direct Service Overhead a call today or visit us online to learn more.
All right. Happy Monday. Oh, I know that's like don't say that. Don't say that, Ty. It's not Monday. We got a lot to talk about with what happened on Saturday. I hope you guys are ready. Listen, it wasn't all bad, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's going on, Razorback fans, SEC fans everywhere? Welcome to the one and only Pig Trail Network YouTube channel. I'm Ty Hudson, of course. You guys know that. It's a little windy outside. I don't know if you could tell. It's a little windy in Springdale, Arkansas, up here in the NWA. Need a little wake-up call. Sugar-free, rain, total body fuel. What's up, Dragon Slayer? Coming to a theater near you this Thanksgiving. Eagle, what's going on, man? You are indeed first. Big Donnelly, Woo Pig, Dragon Slayer, big game coming up. What's up, Ty? Hit you with your first like before the show started. Thanks, Mark McConaughey. I appreciate that, man. Cold and windy. I'm loving it. It's my time of year. My time of year. Actually, I want it colder. Let's bring that thing down to like the 50s. You ever been to a football game? You ever been to a Razorback game, either Little Rock or Fayetteville, when it was like sub 55, sub 60 at night? And it gets like you feel that cold breeze, especially when you're like me and you're poor and you sit all the way up in the nosebleeds and that wind just hits you. Oh my gosh, you talk about brisk. That'll wake you the hell up. All right, I got everything shared across social media. That's part of the reason. Again, I have people sometimes complain like, Ty, your first 5 minutes of your show, why don't you do this, that, or the other, Ty, instead of just whatever. It's like first off, I got sponsors I have to honor, and second of all, I've got to share all the links. I'm not like a certain other YouTuber, Razorback YouTuber, who has an entire recruiting site where he could post his content and that's it. Right there, I've got to post it and share it everywhere I can. You guys know who I'm talking about. The one and only Mr. Trey Biddy. I watched his walk and talk on Saturday, and it was so funny. He was so pissed off at at that. I don't know what that was, like a riding lawnmower or a golf cart fan. I don't know what the hell it was. Trey Biddy was not having it, man. He was pretty mad. I thought that was funny. I do watch Trey because I think he does good work. I really do. Trey does good stuff. What up, Ty? What's up, Tarl? How you doing, man? Watch out. We have a statist in our chat, everybody. Watch out. Fat boy season, says Travis. Oh, speaking of Travis, that's right. It is fat boy season. Travis, how are you doing, man? Hope you're doing all right. So, real quick, sponsors, of course. Since we have one of them in our chat, shout out to you, Travis. Shout out to Direct Service Overhead, who will repair and or replace your garage door. I saw something you posted. I have to show this, actually. I have to show this. This was really cool. Hang on. I'll share my screen. I thought this was neat. I thought this was cool. There's some stuff I want to do with my garage door. I mean, there's all the possibilities are endless, and those guys down there, they'll help you out. And by the way, Direct Service, they operate out of Little Rock or out of Central Arkansas and Northwest Arkansas. And if you mention Ty Hudson or Picture Network, you get an additional 10% off. And maybe you're not looking to get any work done, but you know someone that is. Maybe a contractor, something like that. I wanted to show this. This is so cool. I'm going to share my screen. This is some work they did. All right? You can call it plug in your sponsor. I don't give a damn. I thought this was cool. All right? Let me share my screen here. Look at this. Another great job by our installation team. This is a full view glass garage door with with all white powder coated frames and hardware. Our team completed this today in Maumelle, Arkansas. There's their phone number right there, 501-244-3667. I thought that was cool. That is neat. I've seen these. There's a house in over off of I can't remember the name of the road. It's like right where the old State Trooper building used to be in Springdale, over there by Macadoodles. There's a guy that has a garage really similar to this. He's got a similar door frame there. I thought that was so cool. Good stuff. Of course, I'm going to plug my sponsors. I don't care. They're my sponsors, man. I owe them that much. Good work, though. So, shout out to them. And, of course, our other sponsor, Stated Apparel, who sell the softest shirts that are made right here locally in the state of Arkansas. You can check out their entire inventory at statedapparel.me, /.me, I think it is. Links provided for you. And there's also a link in our Discord. You can check out all their entire inventory there. They also have a brick and mortar store located in the downtown Benton area. You can see what they have available there. They sell native and Southern Marsh clothing brands as well. All those links are provided for you in our Discord and down below in our description box. Okay, I'm opening up the phone lines. I've actually had like 3 people reach out and tell me they want to call. So let me start the stage here. I'm just going to write Monday's show. I don't know, Monday's show. That's the title. And if you guys, if you want to jump down in there, remember, make sure if you're in our Discord, make sure you tell me you're here. Include me in the chat, and I'll hit you up. We'll get you going. I know things are not. Look, they're losing. Razorbacks have lost back-to-back games. Poor offensive performance against Georgia. Poor defensive performance against Georgia, other than maybe a quarter and a half in the second half. And then you just had a complete defensive meltdown. I know it's bad, and it's going to impact a lot of people. It's going to impact, people's willingness to even bother to watch some going back and watching the games. It's going to, it sucks, but I think, look, I haven't had a chance to watch the game again. I'm going to watch it hopefully again today if I get a chance, Monday or Tuesday. We've got softball all week. Oh my gosh, our final week of softball. I think I hate to say it. I love my kids. I love that they're enjoying softball, but I'm ready for that to, so I can kind of catch my breath. It doesn't take up your whole life, but it feels like, man, there's stuff I got to get done in the afternoon, in the evening. And it's just right there at that time slot where you feel like, man, I could be doing this, that, or the other, and But I love that they're playing. I played sports. My dad kept me in sports all the way until I got old enough to make to decide whether or not I wanted to continue. And of course, I didn't in high school. I quit playing sports in high school, but I did play for a little while, and I enjoyed it. And I'm glad my dad, took me into that world of baseball, football, and basketball and let me experience all that. Doing the same thing for our kids. I'm just ready to be like, all right, now we can get stuff done in the evening. And that includes being able to watch, consume more Razorback content. I created top recruits in NCAA 12, put them from Arkansas and picked Oklahoma first game. Week 2, lost the recruit to Oklahoma. Why are you playing NCAA 12, man? Although I don't blame you because 14 is crap unless you do revamped. Revamped is where it's at, man. Do me a favor, like, share the content, subscribe if you haven't already. Sharing is huge. Sharing is caring. So, man, Texas really pooped the bed. Choke City, that was crazy. I really thought Texas was going to open that thing up. Watch the 2-point conversion. That inside shovel pass to Dominic was wide open. Great play call. Execution, not so much. I thought the exact same thing. I didn't actually see it until someone pointed it out on Twitter. I thought I saw someone running underneath, but I wasn't sure if there was a hat on a hat there. I wasn't sure if there was a blue hat on a red hat there. So I didn't really say anything about it because I wanted to see it again. I saw someone point it out on Twitter. Execution was poor, so maybe it wasn't a bad play call. Of course, I agree with the decision to go for the 2-pointer, to go for the 2-point conversion, but I was a little bit after seeing that, I was a little bit discouraged in KJ's. And, that's one of maybe 2 mistakes he made the entire game. Let's be real. Yeah, he overthrew a couple targets. Guys, that's going to happen. Again, nobody is perfect. I would rather him overthrow somebody with nobody over the top of that receiver than – or even if there was a corner or a safety on the top of the receiver behind and in front in double coverage, at least you're putting it in a place where nobody can come down with that ball unless it's your guy, unless he can make a play on the ball. And by the way, we've seen some of these receivers, especially Burks, be able to reach out and grab some impossible footballs, some impossible throws. Ole Miss had it covered from the snap. Well, I don't know. Based on the screenshot that I saw, again, it wasn't a full moving video. It wasn't like one of those 10-second clips. It was like a screenshot. Dominic Johnson clearly looked open to me. I don't know how that play. Again, I'm going to have to go back and watch it. But if that was the case, I mean, KJ made a poor read, and that happens. The RPO, man, you've got to be able to make the decision really quick. You have to be able to it's quick snap, 0.5 second decisions, and if I remember right, that was out of the RPO. That wasn't just I believe it was, right? It was out of the RPO. I still think a design run would have got it. I said after that happened, and again, after seeing that screenshot, again, I saw that, it was actually Sunday morning when I saw that screenshot, I said, either he made a bad read there or you just let him Brandon Allen, that son of a bitch, and you just run the ball north-south with KJ. Guys, he was averaging, 4.5 yards a carry. They could not stop KJ Jefferson, whether it was through the air or on the ground. I mean, he was toying with Ole Miss. It looked very much like that opening half against Texas A&M. And, of course, I know they ended that second quarter on, I think, a couple of punts, their final 2 drives. But it felt like had KJ played that entire game, Arkansas was going to rack up 30-plus points. By the way, down goes Alabama. Wow. Did not see that coming. I thought it would be – I figured A&M would be able to score a little bit. I did not see Alabama going down in that game. So now Alabama is out of the – they're no longer number 1, and the rightful team is number 1 in the country. We'll see if Georgia can stay there. There's something about being ranked number 1 in the country that, it's just different, and it's how Georgia now reacts. They're used to being up near the top. I don't know about being number 1 in the country. West is wide open. So to speak, it is. The video, KJ with his fam, made me tear up a bit. I saw that. I think he was hugging his mom. That dude. Look, I'm not saying he's an All-American at Arkansas. I'm not saying, he sure as hell looks like one to me. But he leaves it all out on the field. I don't know how his career goes at Arkansas. I'll tell you what we've seen so far. He's ballsy. He's got the guts. He has the ability, and it's blood, sweat, and tears. I heard that all through my years of playing football. I don't know anyone who played any sports. That's the saying by your coach, right? Leave it all on the field. Blood, sweat, and tears on that field, and that is exactly how he plays. He's physical. He's dominant. He has the arm talent. He's got it all. He's not 4.4 speed like Mr. Malik Hornsby, but he's powerful and he's quicker than you'd think. He's off to a very Matt Jones type start. Only I think he's got better arm talent than Matt ever had, and he has options at wide receiver, which Matt really never had. In an offense that I feel like is also better. It's better suited to what KJ can do and his skill set. I have so much respect for KJ Jefferson. I do, man. I mean, you could tell he wanted that in front of his family in Mississippi. I felt for him. I really did. That was a pretty powerful video. And I don't know how you dislike the kid. And I don't think very many people do. Now, there's going to be people that are hard on him on that 2-point conversion where he may have missed a read and went to the wrong place with the ball. Again, I'll find out when I watch it again. I'll see what happened, but it looked to me like in that screenshot, and again, a screenshot only tells you 0.1 second of what happened, but it looked to me like that should have been the read, or should have been a design run. Sorry, I'm late. Guys, don't ever apologize for being late. I appreciate you just for showing up. I really do appreciate it. I know notifications have had a hard time going out lately. We're going through this again with YouTube, or they're going out late. I'm sure some of you got the notice, but it just – so don't worry about it. And I get it. So you got lives, man. A lot of you some of you are closing down restaurants just to watch these streams, and I'm telling you, I appreciate that. Oh, my God. That's incredible. But don't feel like you got to put your life on hold, you know. KJ is the general, says Randy Hilliard. Yeah. Jenna says she got the notifications. Again, they do go out to some of you. They don't go out to everyone. I mean, I know that, and there's nothing I can do about it. All I can tell you to do is hit the notification bell. YouTube just kind of picks and chooses. I don't know. I rewatched the game last night. Secondary got shredded, but I couldn't be more proud of KJ. Thought he outplayed Corral, says Nisha Lachey. I agree. I thought he was a better quarterback. And I think Arkansas was the better team. Say what you want about their defense. You could say the same thing about Ole Miss's defense. They had the advantage. If you heard Lane Kiffin, and I listened to his postgame, not all of it, but like 80% of it, he talked about how him and Matt Corral for the last 12 months, that what happened, he used the word embarrassed. Got embarrassed. He said, well, me anyways, but come on. You know he's talking about Matt Corral too. You know deep down he knows Corral got embarrassed. That is a huge blemish on his record and what he did against LSU, which is why I had a hard time buying into his hype. I have a hard time buying into someone's hype, a quarterback, when they've thrown, a double-digit amount of picks between two teams. I'm sorry, you got to show me something different. And he has. He's responded. He's played great. There's no doubt that Lane Kiffin – this feels like the most obvious thing in the world to say, but he has corrected all the mistakes, and he's a guru on offense, man. You see why Nick Saban hired him. You see why he was at Oakland and USC and why he was at Tennessee for a year. You see why these schools pull the trigger on the guy. And Ole Miss, I think, made a great hire. You can say what you want. I agree. One of my biggest hesitations about Lane when we thought he was coming here was, how long is he going to be here? How long is he staying anywhere? And how soon does he fold? Because he's also shown that too. They just start to fold. So Ole Miss better appreciate what they have while they have it, because I just don't know that and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's there for a decade. Hell, I don't know. Maybe he retires there. Highly doubt that, but he's regaining his popularity. His stock is just growing, and it has since he was the OC with Saban. And he's rebuilding his reputation with Ole Miss. Still has some of those goofy off the field antics, the whole popcorn, all that stuff. But they, for a year, for 12 months, have been figuring out Odom's style, his 3-2-6, how to deal with it. Look, I mean, other than your three transfers, the rest of this defense is the exact same defense from a year ago. Now you have Bishop rotating out with Hudson Clark at corner, at the other corner spot. But it's pretty much the same defense. And I do think what's funny is I do think the defensive line has played better this year so far, but they looked worse today than they have all year. And one of their worst performances of the year so far. But for 12 months, I mean, he talked about it. It's clear they circled this. We're getting, and that's all. That was the narrative all week from either ESPN, Ole Miss media, a little bit of the Arkansas media. Like, that was the narrative all week, was redemption. Every time I think of that, I think of a Dodgeball. Some of you don't know what I'm talking about. It's a great movie. Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, so on and so forth. But that's all the narrative was this week. And again, you had 2 weeks, back-to-back weeks. You had these stories that everyone was kind of pumping up, right? Going into Georgia, it was all about Arkansas. The narrative was Arkansas's the Cinderella story. How well did they compete on the road against Georgia? Kirby Smart prepped his team for that all week, and they used that to their advantage. And didn't have to, but they did. They did. And wasn't even a match. Arkansas looked like they never got off the bus. This week it was different with Matt Corral. For 12 months, they have circled this game. And they still barely won and should have lost the game. So that's why I say, when he said that, it just to me reinforced Arkansas was the better team. Ole Miss had circled this game. It's a big game for them at home. By the way, I don't know if you guys have heard, anyone who's gone to the game, and I even saw a couple Ole Miss fans complain about the lack of a crowd being a factor. I mean, they were a factor to some degree because anytime you play at home or on the road, the crowd's going to be a factor to some degree. They got loud at times. Most people complained about or had something negative to say about, like, what is this? How many people are inside this place? Like, they don't – Ole Miss, that's not a typical SEC home crowd. It's just not. I wouldn't dare put them in the category of anywhere near playing in some of the toughest places to play in the SEC. They're not. Fayetteville is far more difficult to play in than down in Oxford. Say what you want. And I'm not trying to take anything away from what Ole Miss did. They were great, no doubt. Their offense, I said it Saturday after the show, that might be the best offense in the country, or Arkansas's defense made it that much easier for them. I don't know. Maybe a little bit of both, but they're a great offense. You know, you go back to that Alabama game, they didn't really start to get things churning until Alabama was already – I mean, the game was over. And so it kind of made you think, well, Alabama has taken a step back this year, and we were saying that before what happened Saturday. And Ole Miss was unable to move or do anything until, for the most part, until Alabama was already done. Kind of like Arkansas versus Texas, that kind of same scenario where you give up some – whatever kind of meh touchdown drives where your defense is like, yeah, whatever. We're going to play prevent. We're going to rotate guys out more often. And that's where they got a lot of their yards against Alabama. So it made you think going into this game, going into this week, maybe what is Ole Miss really? Like, I know their offense is really good, but maybe Arkansas's defense has a shot. I didn't know that they'd been practicing. I didn't know that Lane Kiffin had been preparing for this game for a year. I didn't realize that him and Corral, and had I factored that into it, might have changed my decision because I did not have a lot of confidence in picking Arkansas in this one simply because of the defensive performance in the first half against Georgia and the way the offense just sputtered. But it was for different reasons, right? Now it's like your offense did whatever they wanted, and then your defense just collapsed within itself. But I agree, Jenna. Going back to your KJ comment, Kentucky-Georgia game going to be nuts. I think Georgia blows them out. Kentucky is better. Anything could happen. I just think Georgia's going to beat the shit out of them, if you want my opinion. Will Tank Bigsby run for over 200 yards? Probably. I'd take all of Alabama's second-string D. The way they played Saturday, I don't know if that was individual player effort or lack of effort or game planning. I don't know which one. I don't know who to blame. You look at how easy it was for Ole Miss, and again, probably the best offense. I think the best offense in the SEC. Ironically, once again, like last year, probably one of the worst defenses in the SEC, which is why I'm not buying into this 11-1. I'm just not buying into it. Their defense is shit. Ole Miss's defense sucks, all right? They're not good. Defense is not good. And Arkansas's offense is good. They took advantage. Maybe that's the case. Maybe Arkansas's offense has that Georgia game woke them up. Remember what I said last week? Georgia put a mirror in front of your face. Figure it out to your offense. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe Ole Miss really is great. I don't know. But their offense, on a scale of 1 to 10, they're like a 9.5. Their defense, I wouldn't have very much confidence in them to stop very many teams. If only Little made that field goal. Fouché should have had that interception. Arkansas dropped 2 picks. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Oh, rest in peace, Rip Torn. Announcers were hyping the crowd pregame in the college atmosphere, quote-unquote college atmosphere, and our crowd was louder at most times. You could hear old Arkansas fans through like half that game. Hog 870 says in one game we went from could have been number 1 to 6th in the West. That's this year is weird. I'm not gonna lie. This year is really odd. So going over some stuff here. Again, phone lines open on Discord. If you guys want to join, if you have any questions or comments, phone lines are open on Discord. On Discord. All you gotta do is, if you're not already there, join our Discord. The link is in the description box. Create an account. It takes 30 seconds. You join. For those of you who are already in our Discord, 300 of you now, all you got to do is click on the left column down to Tie Talks. Going to the notes, KJ Jefferson, I thought this was interesting. One of 6 quarterbacks in the FBS with 1,200-plus yards passing, 300-plus yards rushing on the year. If that doesn't scream Matt Jones, I don't know what else does. And he's a better thrower. Matt Jones there's a reason why the guy was told you need to transition to a wide receiver if you want to play in the NFL. And he did, and he went in the first round. Could have been great had he laid off the nose candy. I'm just saying. Love Matt Jones. He is my favorite. I won't say he's my favorite Razorback of all time, but he's up there. He's my favorite player that I've ever watched in person, period. I've never seen anything like that. Not many people have. If you got a chance to watch Matt Jones, television doesn't do it as much justice, but if you got a chance to understand what he was doing at the time, you're old enough to remember, you watched it live, or if you've watched enough videos on YouTube, that guy was unbelievable. Didn't look like he was dropping a 4.37 40. Looked like he was just walking or like just kind of, I'm going to go down the sidelines, I guess. Oh, here comes a corner. It seems like he's got a good angle on me. Oh, he's not going to make the play. He probably runs like a 4.35, but I'm going to out. Like, what the hell? I've never seen anything like that. He looks slow, and the dude is hauling ass, but he's got such long legs, you know. We do have someone in the listener line here. Mr. T-Dub. Oh, here we go, Mr. T-Dub. All right. Here we go. Make sure my sound is up here. What's going on, T-Dub?
Hey, brother, man, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Man, it's good to be on the show. Great show as always.
Appreciate it.
But a couple things I want to say is we need to stop. Our fan base needs to stop wall banging like it's the end of the world.
Oh, for sure.
2 years ago, it would have been 4-2 like this. We would have been building Chad Moore's his own statue. 2 years ago, we were saying we don't even want a bowl game. Just be competitive. Look how far Sammy D. Pittman has brought us, and you got people acting like it's the end of the world. Listen, we lost by a bad play call. It was the right call to go for 2. It was just, it should have been a run. They couldn't stop us. They couldn't stop Rocket. They couldn't stop Dominique. But all of that's behind us. I still think that the SEC West is in contention. If we win out, it's in contention. And so I think Alabama gift-wrapped at us an opportunity to redeem this season.
Wow.
And I just think our guys are going to ring the bell, and they're going to make it happen. I have the utmost confidence in this staff to get us ready. We got Auburn at home. I feel like this is going to be our redemption tour with Auburn, and I actually almost kind of feel sorry for them because they're about to walk into a hornet's nest.
So you think real quick before you leave here, you like them at 10-2?
Going into this tie, I was with you. I was 8-4, 9-3. I think our biggest test ahead of us is actually going to be Auburn and Alabama. But I think we could. I don't know. I think I'm going to lean more 9-3.
Okay.
But 10-2 is not impossible. We saw that Alabama is not invincible. We saw that.
And we
have Alabama at home this year.
Say that again.
Don't we have Alabama at home this year?
No, you're at Alabama on the 20th of next month.
Okay. I just think we got a shot. We got a chance. It's still in front of us. And 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, there's not one person listening to this show that thought we would be in contention for the SEC West.
You're not wrong.
Not 6 months ago. So I'm disappointed we lost a very close game, but man, I am thrilled about the future of this team.
I couldn't agree more. And if you go 9-3, okay, and look, someone called this show a homer show on Friday, but realistically, 9-3, 10-2 is still in the picture. I mean, it is.
It is.
So Auburn on the 16th, UAPB, then you go into your bye, right? Then you're getting ready for Mississippi State, at LSU, at Bama, and then you're at home against Mizzou. I will say, at Bama, of course, I mean, it's going to worry anybody. At LSU, look, man, if that game were in Fayetteville, I'd still call it a coin toss because LSU and Arkansas, you never know. It's just like the A&M game earlier in the year. You don't know what's going to happen. These two teams, LSU and Arkansas, I think it's a little bit more personal than versus the A&M game, but you just never know what's going to happen. But if things go your way, you keep continuing to cut down on the penalties, right, like they did against Ole Miss, the way they rebounded, especially on the road on penalties, and the way the offense responded. Look at how well this team responded coming out of the Georgia game on offense. I think it's absolutely within reach. I agree.
I do. And, a couple of non-hog related takes. I think Coach O doesn't make it to Thanksgiving. I think Brad Davis, our former O-line, becomes the intern since he's, that's his stomping grounds. And you ready? I think Ole Miss is going to lose Lane Kiffin to LSU. I know this is we're talking about the Hogs, but I just had to throw that in.
All right, I appreciate it, man.
Great show, brother.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Mr. T-Dup. Lines are still open if you guys want to get in here and talk about it. So again, I'm not saying that I agree with 9-3 or 10-2, but it is absolutely still in the cards. Sam Pittman, I mean, the bounce back on offense. Think about last week how embarrassed this team was from an offensive standpoint. And not that Ole Miss is nothing to Georgia. Like, when you talk about defense, they're not on the same level. They're not even on the same – they're not in the state. Mr. T-Dub got me onto the whole zip code talk. I give him all the credit in the world for that. Just like Tyler Edmonson is responsible for Flamingo Fridays here that we don't really do as much anymore. But I give credit where credit's due. But the way they responded, the way the Razorbacks responded was huge. And, I think that there's certainly a possibility here where your offense, it's up to your offense to finish the year out. That is in the cards too. And I think you've got the personnel to do it. And like he mentioned, I love that he brought up the run game because you go back to this game, it wasn't one guy doing it. It wasn't two guys doing it. It was just about anybody who had the ball in their hands doing it to Ole Miss, which is why I think they probably should have called a run play there on that 2-point conversion. Raheem Sanders, we'll just go over the numbers. 17 carries, 139 yards. That's a career day. No touchdowns. Man, I wish he got in the end zone. KJ Jefferson, who is the Superman of this football team, especially on offense, 20 carries, 85 yards. Surprised he doesn't carry the ball on average about 15, 20 times a game, but it wouldn't surprise me by the end of the year if he does. Treylon Smith, 7.5, almost 8 yards a carry per play, per run. 11 carries, 85 yards. Dominic Johnson, again, his numbers are just dwindling in terms of production, opportunities, right? It's just dwindling. I really thought he'd get more carries, but he had 4 for 19 for 4.8 yards a carry. A.J. Green, who did put the ball on the field, 3 carries, 16 yards, and then Devion Warren on that carry that he had for 11. You averaged on 58 carries. You had 350 yards on the ground, 6 yards per carry with 4 scores on the ground. I know, KJ, 25 of 35, right? 326, 3 touchdowns. This is a career game for him as well. 6 total touchdowns. Outplayed Matt Corral. He should have been the story of the entire game. I got so sick and tired of hearing about the Matt Corral redemption. Although it was a storyline, I get why they brought it up, but my gosh. I wonder if I get an invite to the wedding. It's ridiculous. The guy went 14 of 21, 7 incompletions, 287. He had a great game, right? His QBR, I don't know if this is adjusted or not, but 97.3 with 2 touchdowns through the air and 2 touchdowns on the ground. But KJ outplayed him. Corral took what Arkansas's defense was giving him point blank. Someone said something about overlooking the defense. I don't know if that was pointed or the depth, excuse me. I don't know who that was. I thought it was Eagle talking about not looking at the depth. I think someone said on offense, I think your depth is pretty solid, especially with this idea of moving Crawford and Jalen St. John to the guard spot. And they seem to be pretty comfortable moving Clary out to right tackle if Dalton Wagner happens to go down. As far as I understand, he's looked pretty good at right tackle. Golly, it's so nice to have a Swiss Army knife on the offensive line, a guy who you could plug and play anywhere. And he's gotten better at center. I don't know if you guys noticed, when he snapped, it looked a little cleaner compared to years in the past. We have the slowest linebackers in the SEC, says Jason Rhodes. I would disagree with that, because they've led the league in tackles almost on a consistent basis for the last 2 seasons. You don't do that by being the slowest in the SEC. That's probably one of the most ridiculous comments I've ever read. Dude, Jason Rhodes, you got to help me out with a comment like that. Like, what are you talking about? By the way, speed doesn't necessarily mean your 40 time. It's your ability to make the play on the ball, and read, react has a lot to do with that. I mean, sure, I'm sure Morgan runs a 4.8 40. I don't think Bumper Pool does. Bumper Pool moves pretty good for someone his size. Hayden Henry moves really well. It's about your hips, the direction in which your body is going. It's about reading and understanding and making the right reads and getting there quickly. You know, and sometimes, too, like we talk about the 40 times of defensive linemen, too. Y'all, that doesn't matter. What defensive end is running 40 yards downfield? It's about your burst, your initial burst off the line of scrimmage. And for linebackers, you could argue it's their side to side, it's their hip. It's how quickly they react. And these linebackers react really well. They were a little late. I do think some of these guys are playing with injuries. I know Catalon finally stepped up and had his game. Finally got back into the somewhere close to where we're used to seeing him. Although I thought he had 2 pass breakups. They gave him credit for 1. He had 9 tackles and a tackle for loss. The guy to me on defense, by the way, who we're not talking enough about, and I think I put him on the cover of one of the thumbnails last week or week before last, was Joseph Fouché. 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a pass breakup, along with another quarterback hurry. In terms of productivity, no one had a better day on defense. Jalen Catalon was close. Hayden Henry had a couple of quarterback hurries and a tackle for loss. Maybe you could argue Hayden Henry, but I thought Fouché was really made up for some of the miscues by the linebackers. Linebackers made some wrong reads. And again, when you talk about Kiffin, who missed out on, or who not missed out, who was embarrassed, talked about it. He talked about it in his postgame. Go back and watch it. He said he was embarrassed. You know, your quarterback was too. They circled this. They had 12 months where it sounds to me like they just installed game plan for Arkansas for a year. And you still barely won the damn game. What are we talking about? Had Arkansas made any of their, and I see your comments, by the way, in Discord. I'll get to you in a second. Had Arkansas, this was a game that was quite literally changed by a number of what-ifs made by Arkansas. Malik Hornsby losing 6 yards on that play. What did that lead to? Correct me if my memory's a little fuzzy. That led to a missed field goal. That play puts you out of field goal range. The Hail Mary at the end of the first half that was picked off. What if Arkansas had grabbed that out of the air? I mean, the fumble by Rocket Sanders. And then the 2-point conversion. Had he made the right read, you win the game. Or had you run the ball, I think you win the game. Ole Miss lucked out by Arkansas miscues. And I'm not saying that they weren't a great offensive team and that they're not a good team. They are a damn good team. Arkansas was the better team and they lost. I've got people in my DMs on Discord. Hang on. So, okay, that was DMs. That wasn't our pig trail. That was DMs. Yeah, I think you correct some of these mistakes. Maybe you take away what happened a year ago with those. I think they turned the ball, and he mentioned 7 turnovers. I forgot about the fumble. You take that away, what does that change how they kind of look at this game and how they prep for the Arkansas game? And is that the difference? It is what it is, man. It's good coaching by Lane Kiffin. It's a good job for him to look. I'm going to get my quarterbacks. We're going to pump him up for this game. We're going to use this as an exercise, as a get better tool, and that's what they did. And they took what Arkansas gave them on defense. Now, if you guys want to argue about the 3-2-6 stuff, I'm right there with you. I agree. The 3-2-6, 3 down linemen. Why are they not switching to a multiple front? Had someone, actually it was my dad over the phone, who said that, you can't switch from a 3 front to a 4 front. Like, you can't do that in the middle of a game if you've prepped all week in the 3-2-6. Plenty of defenses run multiple fronts. Now, if he's not prepping that week in and week out, then I want to know, like, I'm kind of curious why. Are you that concerned about the depth on the defensive line? Does it have something to do with substitutions? Like, you're worried about trying to get the bigs on and off the field during substitutions when you're able to substitute, when you're playing an offense like Ole Miss, who's very fast. I would argue Ole Miss is as fast as Kendall Briles, his offense, the way he runs things. They are fast. They want to move the ball lightning quick, and maybe that's why. Man, that's why he didn't make the change. Or there's some more injuries going on. Again, Sam Pittman does not tell you the whole story about injuries. I think he does that for the purpose of the other team. He doesn't want to give away too much, and I get it. I want every advantage humanly possible, whether it's recruiting or, prepping each week for each game and knowing what to say and what not to say to the media. It's probably why we didn't find out about Bumper Pool's injuries and some other injuries until fall camp that happened the previous season. I do think Arkansas is playing with some banged-up players, and this does mirror what happened last year in the middle of the season when the defense had a meltdown. The defense went to shit, and we all know it. Now, LSU, that game, everyone was, there was injuries on top of COVID protocols. I'm not going to say these guys had COVID. I don't know. I know that protocols, I think, are what kept them out. Contact tracing is what kept them out, if I remember right, where you were running true freshmen alongside Jonathan Marshall. Jonathan Marshall, I'm sure, was having a direct traffic with his defensive lineman. I mean, it took all the wind out of your sails. I think that defensive game, or the effort that game wasn't terrible. But it does mirror something similar to what happened a year ago, where at the halfway point, I mean, for whatever reason, we could, like we've already gone over and talked about them a little bit. One thing's for sure, it looks similar to what we're seeing right now. If you don't correct these mistakes on defense, all of a sudden going to a bowl game looks to be out of reach, or something that you're going to have to fight for going into the Mizzou game possibly. I think they're better than Auburn. I think they're better than Mississippi State. Hell, I thought they were better than Ole Miss. But if it is injuries, if it's stuff that we don't really know about, or whatever the case is with what's going on the defense, if they just have a flat tire and they don't know how to fix it, maybe there's just enough film that these offenses are like, yeah, we know what to do. Georgia and Ole Miss laid it out there for us. Now, good luck, Odom. You better make some adjustments or you're just going to get exposed. I think Odom is a quality defensive coordinator. You guys know how I feel about Odom. I think he's a great coordinator. I think a lot of it probably has to do with quality depth. Once again, the defensive line, where are they in sacks? Does anybody know? I may have to look that up for Wednesdays. They've got to be at the bottom of the SEC. They got to be at the bottom of the SEC in quarterback hurries. This is what I was talking about when I was on Mark Rogers' show. And I bring that up because I've never taken so much heat on anything that I've ever said other than the Mike Anderson being terminated and maybe Chad Morris, because we had a lot of people who said we were jumping the gun firing Chad Morris before the end of the season. Then when I took that heat on someone else's channel, and I had someone tell me I knew absolutely nothing about what was going on the defensive line, yet here we are. Here we are.
Come on, man.
I mean, I'll do it again.
Come on, man.
I mean, where are you at? Where are you? Where are these people? When the defensive line underperforms, they get owned up front on the line of scrimmage. They are nowhere to be found. I'm gonna pile drive that on somebody, and I'm gonna what are you talking about, man? I know nothing. Defensive line is not a problem for opposing offenses. By the way, Ole Miss is not an elite offensive line. They got some talent. They got some SEC quality talent on the offensive line, but they're not an elite pass blocking machine. And once again, look at the Rice game, how much they struggled in that game. I'm not saying they're terrible. I do think with Trey Williams, Ridgeway, Utsi to some degree, they are better than where they're at a year ago. You feel a little bit better about the depth behind them because those are mostly guys that have been here for a couple of years, 2-3 years. But they're nowhere to be found in games like this. They're nowhere to be found. And some of that, too, is by design. I agree. They should run more forefronts, and maybe you could apply a little bit more pressure. But even when they do blitz, when they do bring some kind of blitz from a linebacker or a safety or whatever, they're not clogging gaps. They're providing these huge lanes that are wide open where a linebacker is supposed to come in and help assist that. But you're seeing a defensive lineman push to the right side of the line of scrimmage when they should have been left, when they should have been in the other gap. They're getting pushed out of the way. Ridgeway, I don't know what his deal is. Maybe they are playing hurt. I don't know. But for whatever reason, the defensive line once again has no impact on this game whatsoever. None. I'm not saying you need to be in the backfield consistently. I think the design by Barry Odom, I think it should have been geared more towards applying a little bit more pressure. And again, they didn't destroy you through the passing game. But there's one thing for sure. There wasn't a whole lot of hurrying by the defense. So again, you had how many hurries? They had 4 hurries, 4 quarterback hurries. He dropped back to throw the ball 21 times. That is not having the kind of impact that I was told they would have. Sorry, your defensive line is exactly what I thought it was at the beginning of the year, which was I don't know what the hell to tell people. Now, again, would it be different if they were bringing 4? And sure, but definitely not elite. We're not seeing that out of those guys. We are a Big 12 team. They look that way. And again, I'm not trying to, you've lost 2 games in a row. I don't know what people expect me to say. I don't think it's all bad. You want to know why I think it's not all bad? And I said on the post game, I said there actually might be more good than bad despite it being a loss. And that was the offense's response from the Georgia game on the road. And I don't know if I even want to call that a hostile environment, but it's still a road game at the end of the day. KJ's performance, I mean, holy crap. That dude showed out. And, okay, his family was there. But there's still something to be said about his response from the Georgia game. How about Warren Thompson? Warren Thompson continues slowly but surely. He's becoming that number 2 guy. If Burks is getting covered over the top in man-to-man or whatever with another corner and a safety over the top, if he's getting double-teamed, someone has to step up if you're going to throw the ball 35 times like they did against Ole Miss. And Warren Thompson showed up. 4 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Both he and Burks average over 19 yards per reception. Remember when we were talking about that last year with Woods, and then after he left after the spring scrimmage or when spring camp was over with, who's gonna get close to that kind of production? Here's Warren Thompson. Is he the same deep threat that Woods is. He does have a catch this year that was, I don't remember how many yards. It was 50-plus yards. He has one bomb catch, right? One deep field reception down the field. I don't think he's the same skill set, which I still hope they can find that. And maybe Thompson is that guy. They're just not running enough verts with him. I don't know. And then the other huge positive was Trey Knox found his way on the field. He found his way in this offense. 5 catches, 37 yards, almost 8 yards per reception with a touchdown. Didn't drop any balls when he was targeted, I don't think. Tyson Morris is still coming up with big grabs. 3 catches, 26 yards. He had a 15-yarder. Raheem Sanders is showing up on the ground and through the air. 3 catches, 26 yards. His most total yards from the line of scrimmage all year. His most total yards rushing. KJ Jefferson was durable. And again, he responded. It wasn't just that. He was also durable. Think of the sack that he took. The only sack in this game. Think of the contact, how physical he plays. He threw the ball 35 times. He was hit on a couple of those. And then he turns around and runs the ball 20 times. I hope he can continue to do that. Like I said, you better have QB number 2 ready to go. You know, you had a plethora all year. You've had multiple backs, and that's still the same week in and week out. The only exemption has been Georgia, and Georgia's going to do that to, I don't know, just about everybody. Does Georgia have their collapse this year? Do they collapse at any point? What about this fake ass? Oh, Lord. Oh, my gosh. First off, I hate that people had to point out, we scored later on that same drive. Who gives a shit? They shouldn't be doing it to begin with. I don't care that you turned around and scored. This has got to be looked at by the NCAA. I had someone else quote the tweet. That tweet went crazy. I posted that video. I didn't post the video, but I posted I shared the screen. The original tweeter was Peyton Tucker. I shared it, and that thing's almost 900 total likes, a whole bunch of retweets, and a whole bunch of quoted tweets. And someone who I think was from Mississippi, his name was Ghost, who said, I have absolutely no problem with it as long as it's legal. I'm going to scroll down and find that idiot. And you had a Mississippi State fan, Walking Bullet, who said, I'm not sure why defenses don't do this after every snap or after every first down against the tempo offense. But that in lies the issue. Why is this not looked at by the NCAA? Why is this not under scrutiny by the NCAA or by the conferences? Why aren't they applying pressure? Because a lot of teams do it. Ghost of Figgin, 0 problem with this if it's legal. None, he says. That's the problem, man. It is legal. It's not that it shouldn't be legal. Like I said in every single postgame show that I've had, or any time that this has come up, you got to take every single injury serious. Every time a player drops to the ground, even if this happens where a player clearly looks to the sidelines and then decides, well, I'm going to pop a squat here and pretend like I'm going to hold my leg. Take it serious. But then there should be repercussions. That player, hey, he was down. You need to take him to the tent. You need to take him to the locker room. You need to make sure he's okay. And to the same thing we're doing with the targeting calls. And I'm not saying you need to tack on more and more penalties, but this does need to be looked at. It doesn't need to be a penalty, but it needs to prevent that player from coming back onto the field, and therefore you have at least some kind of repercussion. Or making sure that player's okay. I mean, because we're all about player safety, right? That's why we have these bullshit targeting calls. My dad says all the time, eventually they're just going to put flags on their waist and we're just going to flag football. Kind of feels like it's that way anyways. You can't touch a quarterback, you know. But and I'll admit, defenses, they're handicapped against these offenses today. The way the game is called. I understand it. You got to have something there to kind of slow down this tempo. But it's just ridiculous, man. I mean, it just shows like you have no response. You have no response for what the offense is doing, so now we're going to fake injuries. It's taking advantage. It's taking advantage of the referee's trust. It's taking advantage of both schools' trust. And now we're gonna fake injuries. And also think about it, like how serious do these guys take injuries per snap, and how much of it is, well, he's laying down, he's got a cramp. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I don't know. I'm not saying there should be a penalty, but he should have to sit out the rest of that series or something. There has to be some kind of leeway there. Take every single injury serious. You should. We don't know if they're having issues with, maybe it is a severe cramp. I've had them. I had a calf cramp in a game one time. I swear to God, I thought I got shot in the. I thought I got felt like a really serious bee sting on the back of my calf. I'll never forget that. And I've got that weird muscle memory where every once in a while I still kind of feel it. It's so weird. Or it's heat exhaustion. We don't know. You have to take these serious. But this was clearly, let me flip the screen around again. This is, come on. Are we serious? What the hell is this? Oh, no, I better look at the sidelines and make sure. Let's watch it again. Look at him. Clearly looking at the sidelines. Dude, come on, man. What are we doing? NCAA needs to step in. Something, there has to be something here where the NCAA says, okay, we're going to take it serious, but that player's got to rest the remaining of that series, or a certain set of plays when he's on the field, or maybe even a quarter. I don't know. If it happens 5 minutes left to go in a quarter, he's got to sit out the rest of that quarter. Something, anything that shows us that the NCAA is at least looking into this. I answered that already. Oh, you're talking to someone in the chat. The flop is a cheap and dirty move by desperate and dirty coaches that allow and use it. Lane Kiffin is a good coach, offensive coordinator, maybe coach, but he's a douche like Gus. I agree. Ty needs to come out for a player. I think they ought to come out for an entire series. Take it serious, right? We're all about taking player safety serious. How do you prove or disprove? It's not about how you prove or disprove. Who cares about that? What matters is that player's safety is taken serious, and, on top of that, he's going to have to sit out. And you can even go a stretch further. You can go a little bit further where, okay, on the same drive, you've had this happen now 3 times or 2 times. Now you're in the red zone and they do it again. It doesn't matter if you're in the red zone or not. Now you've had a third player go down with some kind of an injury. Maybe you force a timeout. But this has to be dealt with. And teams are doing it more and more often. If Arkansas did it, I would call it out. Hand to God, I would. Any of you who've been in my chat long enough, watch my shows, I damn sure would call it out and laugh at it and be like, all right, we probably shouldn't be doing that. Doesn't matter about, who cares? You take them all serious. It's not about proving or disproving. It's about what's happening on the field and why it's happening on the field. We all know. We've seen the videos when Gus was at Auburn, when the player would look at the sidelines and then all of a sudden he's fine. Oh, now my leg. I'm holding my leg. By the way, that clearly wasn't heat exhaustion. QBs with experience will beat our defense, says Jason Rhodes. Okay. Name in all caps, name one of our linebackers that could start anywhere in the SEC. Grant Morgan, Bumper Pool, Hayden Henry. I named 3. Kiffin is crooked as a snake. I say it should be just like when the helmet gets knocked off, miss a play or a series. Mizzou did the same. I think they did do the same thing last year. I think I remember that. And again, if Arkansas did it, I'd call it out. Like, come on, dude, you clearly – especially now if a player does that and they don't come back in and they're not subbed back in for, I don't know, 5 or 6 plays or whatever, then okay, there must have been something going on. But what we're seeing is these guys do that. A play or 2 later, they're right back on the field and they're 100% and they're fine. I mean, come on. Bumper couldn't start anywhere. He's too slow. Okay. The guy led tackles for the first 6 weeks of college football a year ago. He was top 10 this year in tackles. Like, you guys and your hate of these linebackers is just, it's so unfounded. I mean, I've been critical of Bumper when he's in the backfield. He over pursues quarterbacks and he misses sacks. But you know what he does? That second layer of the defense, he makes tackles. Yeah, he could absolutely play. I think he could start for most defenses in the SEC. Same with Morgan. If you don't think that, you're clearly either a troll or you have not watched very much Arkansas football. For the record, Gary says they all start for a SEC team. Henry had 5 solo tackles. Well, again, you clearly don't watch. See, this is how you know when someone doesn't watch. They tackle, and they typically swarm tackle. There's usually about 5 guys most of the time making the play. I mean, it's what this defense, that's what they're built around, the ability to swarm. That's what they do, and they do it well. I think people are just butthurt over a loss, and they just make comments like that. Our linebackers are legit. Just saying, they're legit for sure. Bumper Pool has 61 tackles on the year, so for ranked somewhere in the top 5 in the SEC. Mike, dude, I've been doing this long enough. I know trolls. Man, I've done this long enough. I know trolls when I see them. I just like poking back at them. So relax. I got it. They could start for any team other than Bama, Georgia, maybe A&M. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good assessment. Absolutely. People will understand how good our linebackers are when they leave after this year. Don't know what you have till it's gone. That is a very good point. All right. Did we have anyone else that wanted to hop on? I would invite these people making the comments about linebackers. Hop on in Discord, baby. The only problem is getting more and more better on the secondary, especially getting burned like we did. So Monteric Brown, if you go back, he was dinged up before that bomb. If you look at what happened, I mean, he was clearly limping around. I thought he was going to get subbed out, and he didn't, and then he got burned. He did that a couple of times. So, again, like I said, I think there's more guys playing with injuries, linebackers, including I'm starting to wonder a little bit about your safety Catalan, what's going on there. I'd like to know what's going on with Catalan. I seriously believe he's still playing with an injury. Yeah. Something had to give there, and they gave up They gave up several big plays. Ole Miss is not known for a running game? ? I think you're right, Ty. There's more walking around wounded on our team than we know. Yeah, we'll hear about it next. Probably next fall camp. We'll hear about it, how they're playing with her, especially Grant Morgan. I don't want him to leave. He has that captain mentality. So, yeah. All right. Scroll up. I thought there was another super chat up there, and I think I missed it. I apologize if you guys. Oh, there it is. T-Dub with the $5 super chat. Let's nuke the like button, y'all. Also, let's fire off some super chats. I appreciate that, Mr. T-Dub. The SEC West is especially wild this season. It's kind of crazy. Every conference can make the argument that, well, you kind of cannibalize. And that's true. Every conference does that. But I think with Arkansas, we're very well aware this is a gauntlet and a half. It is a gauntlet. It is tough to do this week in and week out. And we're going to find out how they handle this 4-game stretch we've been talking about. Right now, you're 1-2. Or excuse me, you're what are they now? A&M. So it started with, we can argue, it started with A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss. So now you got Auburn. So you're 1-2. And then you're going to close out this tough 4-game stretch with Auburn. Then you get UAPB. Then you get your bye week. So we're going to figure out if they can go 500 in this stretch. But again, you're seeing what people were talking about with this being the toughest point. And look, I don't know that it gets much better with LSU and Bama, those both being road games. I get that LSU looks like an absolute shit show right now. I understand that. LSU looks not good. Bama is still Bama. They lost to A&M down at 12th man. Bama is still Bama in the sense that they're stockpiled with talent and they're still coached by Nick Saban. Great coordinators, great position coaches, top of the top, and it's on the road. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to give you my, right now, as of today, I don't give Arkansas much of a shot. By the way, Auburn, this will be the first time in, what's the spread at? Is Arkansas still favored? 3.5. It was 3, was it not? Now it's 3.5. This is the first time Sam Pittman's been favored going into a conference game. Like he said, they're typically not favored to win many games, and yet here they are. They've been as high as top 10, overranked, sure. I still think they belong in the top 20, but we're going to find out this weekend. When Auburn comes to town, we're going to break them down as we go through the week, Wednesday and Friday, of course. So, yeah, we're going to find out a lot more about Arkansas this Friday. Have a good one, Ty. It's been a while since I was able to catch one of your live streams. Keep it on. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate that. I still see us at 8-4 or 7-5. Remember, that was my pick, was 8-4. I had them at 8-4. I'm sticking by it. You're entitled to your opinion, Jason, but if linebackers are leading tacklers, perhaps D-line not up to snuff. They're not. I've made that argument all year. I've made that argument all offseason. I don't, and the fact that the linebackers respond in the way that they have, it's part of the reason why they have the stats they have, sure, but they're there making the plays. That's what matters. Linebackers aren't the only issue. Well, defensive line is a big issue right now. Again, we're concerned, and that was the question. I did not read our Discord questions. That's almost 2 shows in a row. Let me finish with the questions, or the Discord question, which was, how concerned are you for the Hog defense? The Razorback defense the last 2 weeks combined have given up 956 yards, 89 points. Moving forward, how concerned are you for the defense? Turkey said 10 for 10. Very concerned. We can't do shit without a defense in the SEC. I don't know. Ole Miss might. Not concerned. This is 1 more 24. We're going to play much better at home Saturday. Well, right. Okay. But for the long term, 1 more 24. How do you feel about this defense? Auburn, by the way, not super productive on offense, but they've got Tank Bigsby. They can do it. Scale of 1 to 10 says Broham. Todd, 1 to 10. I'm at an 8 right now. Austin says he's at a 7.5. Tristan says he's at a 6. We all have bad games. I'm impressed. Giving up 37 to Georgia, not Ole Miss game. Everyone knew their offense was strong. We are not game planning on defense correctly. We over plan for the pass, which leaves the run wide open. Simple mistake. We'll get adjusted. I don't know. I am a little bit concerned about that 37-0, especially what Georgia was able to do in the opening half. Hoyt Allen says, and you're not wrong, by the way, Tristan, you're not wrong. I think Odom is the caliber of coordinator who will adjust. Hopefully. I just don't know if it happens. And we have to talk about this 3-2-6. We got to talk about it, man. And I know that's what everyone's looking at and saying, what the hell, what's the problem? But I think they're right. I think a lot of people are right in their assessment that there's something going on. Why are we not seeing more multiple fronts up front? Hoyt Allen says we're giving up way too many points. It's not going to get any easier. Something needs to change defensively or teams will continue to rail us. Come on, Barry, do better. Do better. Very concerned, says Nashay26. Hope it's not deja vu from last year when the defense faltered close to midseason. Jay Hawes says something has to give. It's obvious we're having issues. Georgia, I'll chalk up to being nerves, but Ole Miss is the best offense we've seen. I don't think Auburn is going to be that caliber, but I'm giving them a 7 of 10. And Big Man Ross says, I'm concerned, but not too bad till after Auburn and UAPB. Only how we play after our bye week will give us an actual real indicator. And Eagle says, out of 10, I'd say 5 out of 10. We're banged up. We just need to recover. Okay, fair enough. So that's for the chat. For everyone who's watching this later, And, let me know what you think. I want to know how concerned, if at all, are you for this defense. The boot game, let's see, the boot game has, for the most part, been a coin flip regardless of records. That is exactly what I said at the beginning, Paul. Thank you. You're exactly right. The boot, it's especially being down there, I don't know what to expect. Should have beat them last year. Should have beat them last year. Didn't. And I hope going into that game they use that as fuel. And I hope this week Arkansas looks at what happened last year with Auburn. With the Mark Curls, we all know what happened. I hope that is fuel for this team at home. Time will tell. We'll find out this Saturday. Do what all these other teams have done to Arkansas. They have some narrative, right? You've got a narrative, although it's not as much about what Auburn did. I mean, I guess it is. It's more about SEC officiating. But for a team where a quarterback was complaining about not getting these calls last weekend, Bo Nix, where were you last year, Bo Nix? You clearly got away with something. That was the most asinine thing I've ever seen for him to say something like that. Auburn absolutely was gift-wrapped a game last year against Arkansas. And he paid for it too, by the way. That reply to that article, I think it was, I don't remember who posted it, but it was great. I hope they use that this week. I hope they have that written on a board somewhere. Remember Auburn a year ago. You won that second half. You deserved to win that game. First half wasn't so pretty. You deserved to win that game. Gus Malzahn exited his career from Auburn with a bullshit win over Arkansas. We need to take that out on Auburn and their fans. Let them know. Use that to hype these guys up all week. And I hope fans go to this game. I know this 2-game lull, people get pissy. They don't, if you have tickets and you're able to go, try your best to go. I told people during the Chad Morris era who said, I have tickets, but I'm not going because I don't want to support that. In fact, I don't even want to – I'm mad that I even bought the ticket to begin with because then I'm supporting a bad decision by the U of A. I told people, hey, that is your right to do that. These guys, this team, this coaching staff, this athletic director deserve for you to be there if you have tickets. You need to be there. If you can make it, be loud as hell and let Auburn know what's up. And I hope that's what happens this weekend. You're going to need a little edge. I think especially on defense. They're going to need a little edge. I'm worried about the defense. They have not really bounced back from Georgia. I know that second half they played better, but Ole Miss was an embarrassment. It's time to get pissed off. And we know Morgan is very much capable. He is a vocal leader on that defense. I hope him, Pull, Catalon, Henry, I hope those seniors, the upperclassmen, I know Catalon's not a senior, but he's definitely one of the leaders on that defense. I hope these guys step up to the plate this weekend, correct all their mistakes, or most of them, because Auburn is physical. That run game, they can run. They are physical, and they're not neighbors. Going back to that, they're not neighbors to what Ole Miss does on offense and in terms of what they're capable of doing. They're not someone that should get that many yards, but they could, especially if your defense plays like they did against Ole Miss. So they have to bounce back, and this is an opportunity. The offense needs to build off of what they did this Saturday against Ole Miss. If they do that, if both sides of the ball respond the way that they should, guys, I think they could beat the shit out of Auburn if they did that. Question is if. I'm not saying I'm picking Arkansas, by the way. Don't think I've finally missed one. I've now got one blemish on my record this year. It's making me rethink things. I'm going to go back and watch this Ole Miss film. I'm going to go back and watch the Auburn a little bit from what they've done this year. I've seen them play a little bit. We're going to figure out where we're at. And this week, if you lose this week, you still 8-4, by the way, is still possible if you lose this game. It absolutely is. That's loss number 3, and there's definitely winnable games left, even if you lose to Auburn. So, all right. I appreciate you guys being here. We'll be back on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. Yeah, here's what I'll do. Enjoy that. Enjoy that, Rhodes. When you get to a point where you're just trolling chat, I'm just going to put you in timeout. Enjoy that little timeout, my friend. All right. I will see you guys on on Wednesday, 11 o'clock. We're going to do, hopefully we get some more folks that want to talk, that want to call in on the Discord live chat. And I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to watching some more content. I'm also looking forward to getting softball the hell out of the way this week. Woo pig! I'll see you guys on Wednesday. And for you morons, linebacker haters in chat,
Come on, man.
get out of here with that. Woo pig! I'll see you guys on Wednesday.